edges are elegantly chamfered as well as form pleasantly rounded. Nevertheless, the slender slice of aluminum inside right side footwell from the 2018 Bugatti Chiron is much more battle-axe than scalpel. Squeezing the floor-mounted accelerator summons 16 cylinders, 4 turbochargers, and 1,479 horsepower, enough raw, road-groping momentum to outpace an LMP1 car for the home of Le Mans, the famed Circuit de la Sarthe. But unlike those carbon-clad prototype races, the Chiron features a sound system which could articulate a lob-dubbing bass line at 18 Hz sugared with delicate top notes due to its diamond-coated tweeters. Is this not able to speed, both lethal and luxuriant simultaneously? Wretched Excess, the sequel to Skeptics, and that we know you're around. The $2,998,000 Chiron is simply pricier and much more powerful redux from the Bugatti Veyron, your vehicle only a couple of hundred people within the world can afford, anyway. But virtually nothing is overlooked on this reimagined and reworked follow-up towards the superlative slap two-seater. Our only target these times, says Bugatti boss Wolfgang de Heimer, was to surpass the Veyron in most respect. For starters, the 8.0-litre W12 claims 19.5% new parts, many of which are titanium and graphite for weight savings. Its 4 turbochargers are 68% larger and do 2 stages to offer a startlingly flat torque peak of a single, 180 pounds-to-feet between 2,000 and 6,000 revolutions per minute. Though the new car is 1.6-inch wider, incremental weight savings throughout netted an essentially unchanged curb weight. Bugatti pegs the Chiron's still empty weight at 4,398 pounds, compared for the Veyron. Designer Shine Salome says the only real item exempt from trimming down was the so-called Bugatti Macaron, the nose-mounted badge. Finished in baked enamel, the piece weighs 155 grams, 141s are composed of 970 grade silver. A new adaptive suspension system uses electronically valved sack stampers to stiffness and ride height, while hydraulic flaps actively divert air through the flat underbody to assist with brake cooling and downforce. Sourced from Dallara, its carbon fiber chassis has a staggering 1,500 hours to make and is now so rigid it bends 1 degree under 50,000 Nm of load, a stiffness only matched by those aforementioned LMP1 cars. At rest, the Chiron is undeniably sleeker versus the predominantly ovoid Veyron, offering complex curves plus a subtle muscularity that contrasts its flatter, flusher predecessor. Swing the entrance open and slide inside C-shaped portal, along with the cockpit appears as a more minimalist, modern space. The center console has slimmed, abandoning its subtle hat tip to Bugatti's signature horseshoe shape. The form picks up on the leader, behind which sit small aluminum paddle shifters framing a huge analog, 300 mph speedometer flanked by TFT screens. Word has it the gauge was accustomed to create a feeling of wonder, so a youngster at Pebble Beach 2 decades from now could peer throughout the window and marvel with the top speed. The C-theme continues, having a light bar, the longest photon conductor within the business, that arcs in the cabin, spanning from your leading edge and headliner for the center console. Though the detailing is sparse, making its 4 centrally positioned knelled aluminum dials be noticeable, the feeling of occasion is strong. If the Veyron was beauty plus the beast, de Heimer says within the night before my drive, the Chiron is a lot more beast. That's an awfully promising and daunting idea to cloud your nocturnal thoughts. Thanks, Mr. D. The 16-cylinder sun also rises. Who needs coffee when you're strapped right into a $3 million land missile using a driver's seat? Look at that supernumerary gauge. Even better, the kilometer measuring European spec dial on my small tester would go to 500. Nice. Press and support the blue engine button for the wheel, and also the W16 pertains to life using a hushed whir right before settling right into a 650 revolutions per minute idle, 200 spins slower than before. Sound levels are dramatically louder outside with the leather and carbon-lined cabin, more comparable to a scream over a whisper. Hold the brake pedal, go through the shifter into D, and touch the accelerator, and there's a startling surge forward, particularly if it's been a second since you've driven a motor vehicle with 4-figure horsepower. Right off of the bat, the Chiron transmits more immediacy compared to the Veyron, feeling noticeably sharper plus more responsive as a result of its improved suspension geometry and quicker steering. The disarming sensation of thrust, even though barely touching the throttle, taunts, tempts, and is particularly all but irresistible, especially because it's coupled with the subtle whir and wheeze of turbochargers and wastegates. Unlike its perennially taut predecessor, the Chiron's adaptive suspension handles rough surfaces like cobblestones remarkably well. The knurled dial on the tire selects lift, which raises your vehicle for curbs, an adaptive mode, autobahn, for higher speeds, or handling, track-focused, modes, which affect damping, ride height, steering, and power distribution. The differences are noticeable in any respect speeds, but particularly pronounced at triple digits. At higher velocities, the effect in the active flaps, rear spoiler, and lowered ride height not merely increases negative wheel camber, it generates a palpable feeling your vehicle is being sucked nearer to earth. I'm told the Chiron is easy to drift in handling mode. I promise to never try. Illicit speeds are reached breathtakingly quickly. Tip-in triggers an escalating torque effect since the first two turbochargers spool. Hold the throttle along with the G-forces snowball, in moments. The Chiron is hustling at 100 miles per hour coasting along as well speed in 7th gear, a startlingly easy achievement as a result of the quiet cabin, glassy ride, and effortless grunt, drops the engine below 2,000 revolutions per minute. It's a mind-numbingly simple state, gliding past slower, cell phone-wielding traffic intent on immortalizing the inconspicuous 7-figure blur. Drop a gear or two and dip into your throttle, along with the surges downright addictive, a relentless pin-to-your-seat aircraft carrier launch of acceleration that merely doesn't quit. Not that it matters, especially at these speeds, even so the horizontal spoiler as well as the vertical ridge create crosshairs from the rearview that nearly obscure the vista from behind. It is unknown whether police lights could well be visible through those graphite obfuscations. Despite my greatest efforts, the experience never gets old. Gun it, giggle just like a schoolboy as I charge ahead at warp speed, then hit the brakes, which fills the rear view with all the spoiler cum air brake because the carbon stoppers clamp down and scrub away velocity. The effect is practically too good both in directions. Acceleration is very quick, time may seem to warp, and braking is very effective. It may pull up to -2 grams, enough to produce the guiltiest conscience feel that every sins are actually absolved. And then it takes place. An epically spacious downhill stretch reveals itself, and I maintain the throttle pinned. The engine charges ahead as I quickly bang throughout the gears plus the Chiron punches through air your seemingly unending feeling of urgency, remaining planted as being the sound volume inside the cabin escalates only incrementally. I suppress the desire to glance down for the speedometer, and just after I've slammed within the brakes again and returned to earthbound speeds would it occur to me that big data may be recalled about the tiny screens inside the dash-mounted buttons. The telemetry is haunting. At 6,691 revolutions per minute, the engine was producing 1,487 horsepower, and, incidentally, circulating 15,000 gallons of air through its cylinders for each minute. Indicated speed? 377 kph, or 234 miles per hour gallop. Down to earth the Chiron returns to its tractable, effortless self once back at terrestrial velocities. Returning to reality enables me to reflect in this little few qualms, one of them some slightly jerky low-speed shifts, which I'm told is set to my car's pre-production state. Also pesky will be the shallow clicks on the small paddle shifters, which don't engage as satisfyingly you may hope for in an automobile such as this. Apart from your quibbles, the Chiron's astounding, county-leaping acceleration, neck-snapping stopping power and controlled handling ensure it is feel vastly improved over its antecedent. Considering half its run of 500 cars was claimed prior to the first customer took delivery, it can be that demand was piqued by its more intriguing styling, as well as perhaps Bugatti's preemptive PR tactics. Based for the Chirons as pleasing driving dynamics, I suspect orders can keep pouring set for the remaining allotment, which currently puts buyers using a 4-year waiting period. But greater crucial question for dyed-in-the-wool gearheads is actually the Chiron is alluring enough to win on the skeptics and convert the non-believers. If we can all agree the golden age in the internal combustion engine should indeed be upon us, the Bugatti Chiron savors one further romp before hybrids and electrics dominate. This 16-cylinder song may be the apotheosis of the ephemeral link towards the mechanical. One last pop of bubbly to nail the coffin on gas-powered excess. 2018 Bugatti Chiron specifications on sale now, price $2,998,000. Base engine 8.0 liters quad turbo DOC 64 valve W16/1479 horsepower at 6,700 revolutions per minute, 1,180 pounds to feet at 2,000 to 6,000 revolutions per minute. Transmission 7-speed dual clutch automatic layout, 2-door, 2-passenger, mid-engine, AWD coupe PPA mileage N, a LXWXH 178.9 by 80.2 by 47.7 in wheelbase, 106.7 in weight, 4,398 pounds, 0 to 60 miles per hour 2.5 seconds, top speed 261 miles per hour.